Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio, and in this video I want to show you a new quilt I just made. This one is called Diamond 4-Patch, and it is made with a 4-patch block that is made up of 4 patches and half square triangles. So you can see the block right here, and these are all leftover 5-inch squares from a layer cake. This is Tango by Kate Spain for Moda, and I wanted to just use up the fabric and make another quilt top out of it. So this is all leftover fabric. I wanted it to look scrappy, so what I mean is that I wanted a different fabric in each location within the block, and then mix them all up so that there's no two same fabrics right next to each other. So in this video I'm going to show you from beginning to end how I made this quilt. So cutting the pieces and sewing them together into blocks and then into rows, and then sewing the rows together. I did not get any video putting on the borders, but everything else will be there. So anyway, I hope you'll sit back and enjoy the video. And these are the 5-inch squares I have left over from a layer cake that I cut into 5-inch squares, and I'm going to make a quilt that blocks are set 6 by 6. So I need 36 squares for the half square triangles, and I need one square for the half square triangles, 1 square for the 4-patch units and of the prints. So I figured out I need 72 squares. Anyway, I have 36 blocks set out for the half square triangles, 36 for the 4-patch units, and that should give me the 36 blocks that I need. So I'm cutting the backgrounds right now, and this is going to be scrappy, even though it's all from one collection. I'm not worrying about matching things up. I want everything to be kind of mixed up. So I'm going to set these aside. These are my half square triangles. These will be my 4-patch units. So I'm going to start cutting the squares for the 5-inch squares for the half square triangles, and I can get 4 out of a, let's see, 8 out of a strip, if I am correct, because I can cut, yeah, I should be able to get 8. So let's see, I've got this all lined up. Let's see if this cut through. 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, I can get 8 from a strip. I've been holding on to this fabric. This is the fabric that I made the pinwheel quilt from, and I was hanging on to it because I wanted to make another quilt from the leftovers, but I kind of got sidetracked by other things, so it didn't get done. So there's 16, and this is the background fabric that I bought for it. It's a Bella Solid. Okay, there's 24. So I got this out of I had it stored in a box. So I got it out of the box, and what I had decided I needed to do, instead of making tutorials on individual blocks at this point, I think I need to make a quilt top or two. So it's just things have been really busy with us trying to work on our house, and it's been really hard to get the time to design a block and then write a pattern for it. So I think this will be a little bit easier. Let me turn on this other light. It's usually brighter in here this time of day, but it's cloudy out today. We had some rain this morning, and the sun did come out for a while, but it's kind of dark again. So let's see. So, okay, 4 times 8 is 32. So I just need one more strip. So this project will work with charm packs or layer cakes or yardage, either way. So I am going to set this aside and then cut these into 5-inch squares. And I have a 5-inch ruler. And this will hopefully help me from making any mistakes, because that can happen. I get sidetracked and then I'll cut the wrong size. This way, everything's going to be the size of the ruler. And I'm just cutting one strip at a time here, just for ease. I don't have to worry about things shifting as much. So let me know if you like these videos of me making a full quilt, or if you prefer the blocks. At the moment, I'm just doing things that I think are going to be best for what life is throwing at us at the moment. And I'm thinking this would be a little bit easier, and I do need to use up these scraps, as it's still going to be several months before we're ready to move in, but we're getting far enough along that we think we can get moved in by the end of the year. And I don't want to have a whole bunch of scraps to box up and move. This way I would still have quilt tops to move, as I have a closet full of quilt tops that I've made since we've been here. We've been here 2.5 years. But I want to have things all ready to start, getting the quilt machine, the long arm machine set up, and get those tops quilted. Now all of these squares I'm going to mark with a diagonal line on the wrong side, so that I can make 2 at a time half square triangles. Okay, I'm done cutting the small pieces of background, and I got all these squares, and now I'm coming to the longer pieces, and I went and I pressed several of these. And what I think I'm going to do, instead of cutting them all into 2.5-inch squares, is I'm going to take the 5-inch squares that I'm going to use, cut them in half, so they'll be 2.5 by 5, and sew them on the strip. I think I can get 3 of these squares on a strip, of these here anyway. Yeah. And then I can just cut them into 2.5-inch segments. So then I'll have half of the 4-patch blocks done. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I did a test, and where did I put those? Okay, with these. So I put 3 of these strips that I cut from here, and it turned out fine. So I don't know if it's a time saver, but it seemed kind of silly to cut everything into squares when I could do it this way and then cut. So maybe it's a little bit more accurate, I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to do that. So I can get 3 on a strip, and I have, let's see, I have 6 strips here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these 2 at a time. I think there's just one there, yeah. And cut them into 2.5 inch strips. Let's see if I can match up the cut edges there. Be a little bit more accurate there. I got enough for that, so I still have, you know, a good stack that I need to do other things with. But I'm going to let me shift over to the sewing machine so you can see what I'm going to do with these. Okay, so I have my 2.5 by 5 inch strip, and I'm just going to line these up. And just sew on down. And then here's another one. I'm just going to tuck this under here. And one more. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's go to, there's 2 different ways I could do this. I could cut them apart now and then press, or I can press them open and then cut. So I think I'm going to cut these first. That's what I did with those others and it worked well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to adjust the camera again and show you how I'm doing this. Okay, so here's my strip, and I want to cut these apart. So right now I'm just going to cut right next to the edge of the print fabric. Okay, those little pieces out of the way, and then cut this one. Okay, so these should be 2.5 by 5. So cut them at 2.5, and then I'll have there we go. I just moved my screen so I can see. So there I have those. So when I press these open, it should be 2.5 by 4.5 now. So let me just finger press that for the moment, and I think that'll be fine after I get it pressed. So that is one way to do this. You could just, especially if you're doing it scrappy and you've got, like here I was cutting all these pieces from little scraps of fabric. You can do that with your prints too, and just cut them 2.5 inch squares instead of the 2.5 by 5.5 inch strips. So it's all up to you. So anyway, I am going to continue cutting because I really don't have enough long strips here to do all of the squares, but so I'll be doing a lot of 2.5 inch squares out of this, cutting them out. So Anyway, I've got to start. So this is what they look like when they're pressed open, and then these will get all mixed up with other fabrics. Okay, I have all of my 2.5 inch squares sewn to a white 2.5 inch square, and I've got them sorted out in piles of colors here. So I have a lot more green than anything in any of the colors. So I am currently working on mixing and matching a green with all the other colors. So there will be a lot of green in this quilt, but that's fine. So I'm just basically making a long chain. I'm just letting it fall to the floor in front of my sewing machine table. And I'm taking, like, this is a yellow square, this is a green one, just flipping them around and matching my seams, nesting them together, and then stitching along the right side. And that will make a 4 patch. You can see this previous one I did. So, and that one has a good point there, everything matched up really well. And I will clip these apart when I get everything sewn, and then I'll press them and they'll have all my 4 patches done, and then I can work on the half square triangles. Okay, I am ready to move on to the half square triangle blocks. And I took all of the 5-inch background squares and drew a diagonal line on the wrong side, and I'm going to match those up with the prints and sew a 1/4 inch away from that diagonal line on both sides of that line. So just putting my right sides together, and sometimes I will pin these and sometimes I don't. So I'm going to try it without, because if I pin every one of these, it's just going to take a lot longer. Okay, 1/4 inch away. Okay, there's one. Flip it around and sew the other side. And my stitch length is a little short, so I'm going to adjust that. That's not bad though, it's just a little bit shorter than I'd like it, so I'm going to go ahead and increase that a little bit. And I'm going to cut these in half to give me 2 half square triangles. So this is what I have. And if you've been following me for any length of time, you know this is how I do most of my half square triangles. So I got a lot to do. Got this whole stack of background pieces that go with this stack of prints. So I'm going to be busy. I'm going to sew down one side and then sew and chain piece them together and then sew down the second side. It helps speed things up a little bit. And then I need to trim these because they are going to be a little bit on the large side. Possibly. We'll see. You know, it'll kind of all depend. Sometimes they are a little bit large and sometimes they're just right. So I'll figure that out when I get to that point. Okay, I have all of the half square triangles done, and I sorted them by color. I had some teal here. This one just kind of didn't go into any stack I had. I have some, same with these, pink, yellow, dark green. I have one with a light background and some teal, some olive green. These are red, and then this is another stack with a light teal, but it has red in it. So these are all ready to go. They need to be, I need 2 for each block, and they need to have 2 4-patch units in it. Now these I haven't separated out because they're all different, and they each have a different print in them, 2 different prints. So this is going to be real scrappy, and I'm just going to grab 2 here and kind of show you what we're going to do with those. So let me do a red and a pink, or red and a green, and let's put our blocks in there. So here we go. So this is the block, and I'll be making a bunch like this. These colors, I'm not matching any prints up or anything, so what I'm wanting is all of these to be different, so it'll look real scrappy. Now if you want, you can also turn them this way. So there's different things you can do. These 2 are the same prints, so you can do that also if you want, but I'm going to do them this way, and may switch this one out. Let's do, okay, what about that? So there we go. So this will be fun, just mixing and matching everything up, and then when this is all done, we'll sew all the blocks together into a pattern, and we'll see how that goes together. All right, it is another day, and I've been working on sewing the units together to make blocks, and here's one of them. So they're going together real easily, and what I'm doing is I have, to my right side, I have my stack of 4 patches, and then up here I have the half square triangles, and I've got them sorted by color. I don't know if you can see them all, but they're here. And what I was doing was sorting them by color, like dark greens, teals, pink, yellow, red, and then you know, some of the lighter colors here. And what I'm looking for is trying to get all of these spread out so that they're scrappy. What I don't want to wind up is having my last half dozen blocks to sew and then having all just, you know, these like all one print left. So I'm mixing and matching everything. So what I do is I grab a 4-patch out of my stack on the top, and then I kind of go down the line, and then I'll pick another one and lay them out how I want them, and then I'll go through and I'll pick, I have a lot of these dark greens, so I've been picking a dark green, and then I will pick another print, like maybe I'll use this one, which is kind of another green, but it's got a light background. So that's what I'm doing, and now I'm going to just sew those together. My camera angle isn't the same as I normally video, but I'm doing this too so I don't have to jump up quite so much. Now 4 patches are great for this kind of work because a 4-patch block, because you only have, you know, 3 seams to sew together here. And I'm completely sewing each block. Instead of just sewing, you know, sections together, I'll sew the entire block before I move on to the next one. So I have my 2 rows here. I'm going to press them and then sew those together. Okay, and lay those together, and I pin my center seam. And then we'll sew that seam. Okay, this may not be the fastest way to do this, but that's the way I'm going to be doing it. So here is that block all completed. Just need to press that last seam in the back. Okay, so now I'm all pressed, and I'm pressing seams to the side. I'm not pressing anything open. Okay, I want to show you the blocks. I have them all done. So I have 36 blocks, and they all turned out pretty good. I have several that I have two of the same print in there, just because I got down to the last couple of 4 patches and that's what they were. I was so busy concerning myself with the half square triangles that I didn't realize I was getting down to having all the 4 patches having at least one of those fabrics in it, but there's not too many of them. And I could always, you know, rip some of these out and move them around, but I really don't want to do that. So once they're in the quilt, they're all going to be mixed up and you're not going to notice it anyway. So the goal was to have a different print in each section. So no duplicate prints. I did that except for these 3 or 4 blocks here. So they're all pretty. Now these two, it's the same print, but they're different colorways, so I don't count that. And that's the same with those two. I'm looking for different colors in the blocks. So the next thing will be laying them out and coming up with the layout for the quilt. And there. Okay, 36 blocks. They're going to be set 6 by 6 and they're going to alternate. So what that means is I'm going to be doing this, and then this one will go like this. Or if I want to make sure I have different prints, I can do that. So, or different colors. So that is the thing, is getting everything sorted so that I don't have, you know, 2 of the same fabrics touching, and prints. So we'll see. I'll see how that goes.
Not really what I want to hear, because when things can get pretty crowded, they decided to show up. Okay, said I know I'm doing it really often right now and calling it for like the 3rd or 4th or 14th time today, but I need to put them all together and they're in the house. It's not good. They look rowdy and so I
Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my latest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.